How's it going, guys? We are started briefly late, but not really. We started the timer right on time, but we are back for our second part of the draft special that we were doing. If you missed the first part, check the link down at the bottom of the description there. Thank you guys so much, all of you who are joining in live. I see about 3 of you there. If y'all could please make sure you're checking and clicking that like button. If you're new, welcome, and you're watching on replay and haven't seen us much before, give us a subscribe, put a comment here on this video. We really appreciate that. But today we are going to be breaking down the last 4 factions from the draft, but I can't do this on my own. Joining me today, right now, we are going to have Danny Joy joining us here shortly. But for now, I also have another great co-host that I used to work with on AAA Live, who has a brand new show that is awful exciting as well, Mr. Nat. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, it's No Chill Nat. I'm doing great, Megs. I'm just noticing this weird lighting I have. That's the sun. I have no control over that. I'm sorry.
You're just kind of in a haze, but it's all good.
Yeah, I'm super excited to talk about these 4 factions that we didn't get a chance to talk about last week. So
yeah, absolutely. So again, trying to keep this a little bit more short form, not the 2-3 hour streams that often do happen here on this show, which this channel, that is perfectly fine for those, but we just want to get down, get the cold hard facts, and then get back out. So today, what we're going to do, again, this is our second episode, Draft 4, Part 2. We're breaking down the Finstock Exchange, the stars, swag, corruption, taking a look at some of the statistics from their veterans, what kind of numbers of rookies they have, and kind of the landscape of how each division in this faction is going to look like as we enter into Season 8 War. And then we're going to kind of do a quick recap of all the factions, kind of catch everybody up, and after we've gone through all those numbers, what's everybody look like? And then we'll talk about what's going to be coming up next for this show. Super excited about some of the new things we're going to be doing. But before we get into all the new stuff, let's see just to give you guys a reminder, this is how the landscape of the factions look like thus far. Kind of surprised we haven't seen any changes to the factions so far. No crazy trades or anything has happened just yet, but it is still very early in the season, so we'll see what happens once we start getting into matches. But first off, we're going to take a look at the Finstock Exchange. Now, the Finstock Exchange, I know when we were watching the draft, got a lot of reactions out of a lot of us for some of his choices. First off, free agency has Roka, Barbarian, JTE, pretty solid core trio there. And then up until his final pick for his 9th round with Taylor Robinson, it is all rookies. All rookies, all unknowns. Nat, what was kind of going through your mind as we were watching the draft unfold and seeing all these rookies coming up for the exchange?
I think I said this last week for the usual suspects, but every pick that Finstock made, I was hoping that someone would tell me how I should feel. Because I don't know most of these people, to be honest. But I'm excited because I feel like Finstock Exchange has the lowest floor, but also the highest ceiling. Because these people are total unknowns. They could be breakout stars. Like I don't even know. I am really surprised that he picked JTE to be one of his core 3. I feel like that's a bold decision. Like JTE is a champion. I don't know. Mm-hmm. He hasn't played in a while, so I don't know whether or not he's improved or not. But that's a huge move. I think most of the flag that Finstock has gotten is because, like, who are these people, you know? But
absolutely,
it could definitely work out for him.
Absolutely. I mean, there are a couple names that we've known of. Rick Radis was someone that was kind of making his circuit around the podcasts. We're hearing stuff about Gold Leader Evan Bushgar. He was kind of a name that was getting thrown around a little bit. Brother Lomas, someone's been kept under wraps. We don't really know a whole lot, but we definitely know the name. So again, just a lot of people, some people that we might have maybe heard about, but weren't near as forefront during the off season as some of these other ones. But kind of, as you were mentioning, JTE, former champions on this team. You've got Rocha, who's a 2-time singles champion, a 2-time teams champion. And something of note for Rocha, he is the most consistent roster member inside the MTS, meaning he hasn't ever officially stepped away from the game.
Yeah.
Pretty much ever since he came in, he's always had a presence inside this league. So that makes things really interesting, just having someone of that longevity inside of this game. And then you have JTE, who was team's champion for a year and a half, almost 2 years, 6 total title defenses, back in season 3, season 4, season 5. But definitely someone who has a lot of experience. We did get to see him on the horror free-for-all, but other than that, we're not really sure where he stands. He definitely has the attitude and definitely has the character work that will fit in, I think, with kind of the Exchange's vibe right now. But again, as far as where he's going to sit trivia-wise, as of seasons 5 through 7, he had about a 63% accuracy inside of singles. Barbarian, on the other hand, in a 2-1 season, 93% accuracy. Only losing by 1 question in his 1 loss, and that was to Bibiani, who pitched a perfect game. So what are you going to do against that? Rocha in singles has had a 77% accuracy. However, he has only had 3 matches that were below 70% accuracy. So kind of interesting. He hasn't necessarily been hitting those consistent, really high accuracies, but he's not one who's going to drop consistently well below that 80 average that you usually like to see from singles and teams competitors. And then Barbarian, he is kind of first bout into IG, pretty short notice. He managed to get a 61% on there. But again, as we talked about last week, and again, if you didn't get a chance to watch that episode, please do check that out. We talked about how you can have a 10% increase in accuracy in Star Wars and IG between seasons just based on the level of information that you can absorb and your high ceiling to be able to jump in. And thank you so much to everybody I'm seeing. I'm starting to see some comments come in. Hey, Danny, Ben, and Tyler, nice to see you. Haven't seen your name pop in a lot, but thank you guys so much for joining in. But again, overall here in the FinStock Exchange, we have a lot of potential, but just not sure where they're going to land. Taylor Robinson, it's been a minute since we saw her in IG, just to kind of finish up what we know already about this faction. She was in a Fatal 5-Way in Season 5 before Anarchy took place, and she was able to make it to the 3rd round of that match. So she wasn't knocked out or one of the TKO competitors inside of that match. So there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah.
But essentially almost coming in as a rookie because it has been several seasons since she's been inside the league consistently. So we'll see how much she's absorbed, how much she's paid attention in the past couple seasons, because definitely IG and Star Wars specifically have really taken a huge leap since that initial Season 5 that some of these competitors would have been around.
Yeah, I think Will McLean in the chat says it best. Gucci is either a genius or a madman. It could honestly go either way. Like,
absolutely.
I think the one thing that's worth noting is that there are 10 singles and teams competitors and only BIG and 1 Star Wars. Of course, they haven't truly declared themselves yet.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely. Yes. Yeah, to look at kind of what's the breakdown of where they're at. Obviously, we've only got those 4 veterans, 8 rookies. 2 of them we know for sure are multi-division. Barbarian is considered multi-division. And then Haas, actually. Mark Haas has declared that he is interested in singles and teams and IG. So that gives him kind of some leverage and difference there. So you've got Barbarian for IG, Matt Haas for IG, and Taylor Robinson is IG. Star Wars, the only one that we know for sure is Gold Leader. But again, there could be a lot of things that they're trying to figure it out. Nobody's fully sure they're leaving a lot of options open, which is good. It's nice to have options, but just on the outset of looking at this report, you kind of are left going, are they going to be able to keep up with everybody else not having as much depth inside of these other divisions? But again, time will tell what they decide to do. It would appear that they have some IG depth, but again, it's that Star Wars that's a bit of an unknown that I think they're still trying to figure out.
Yeah, I would say the Exchanger is definitely the faction with the most question marks and the most. I just don't know what to expect from them at all, and I think that I just completely lost my train of thought. But basically, I think that IG and Star Wars is basically just not two divisions that you just pick up and start playing well, and you have to be committed. So that does give me a little pause. I'm very curious to see how it shapes out for him.
Yes, absolutely. So again, a lot of question marks, a lot of potential, but also a lot of opportunity to kind of stay in that middle ground if they aren't able to pick up some points in those specialty divisions. So moving on over to the Stars, who have the most current champions sitting on their roster, with Roxy keeping her core three that she had at Spectacular with Snyder and Draco, who got the team's championship for the second time, and Damon still remaining Star Wars champion. So that gives her a pretty high top trio there, and then she's picking up Brandon Hanna, Janine the Machine, and she takes Brittany Young, which is interesting. Her and Kaiser kind of did some competitor switching with Roxy taking Brittany Young and Kaiser taking Jericho, which remains to be seen how all that will shake out. But that is more for storyline and other analysis. But looking at what we've got here on the Stars currently, again, there's still a good amount of rookies. She actually has an even split, 6 veterans and 6 rookies, with 5 of these competitors being potential multi-divisional players. Alex Damon is an IG as well as Star Wars competitor if he decides to still stay in IG as well as Star Wars, which I think he probably will. He showed a lot of really good improvement and potential inside of IG. Brandon Hanna is singles and teams. He dabbled into that this year, saw some good potential there as well as being primarily IG. And Janine the Machine is also another one of those that can do IG as well as singles and teams. So she's got some really good multi-divisional, multi-faceted competitors, and as well as her other competitors that she can have do multiple things. Let's see here. Yes, Jeff Lowe is also someone interested in doing Star Wars and IG. So there's a lot of potential there to do a lot of different things with her competitors based on what she wants to do. And so that makes it very interesting to see what ultimately, if she wants to keep everybody multi-division, that is, or if she's going to have some of them hone in on one division, because she has a lot of options. She's got 9 singles and teams competitors, 5 that are IG, and 4 that could go Star Wars. So there's a lot of options there for her to really put her competitors in their best positions, because she has options within those specialty divisions.
Like you said, the Dungeon and the Stars kind of did a swap with Jericho and Brittany Young. I feel like the Stars definitely got the better of that exchange, because I feel like I don't see Brittany Young pulling a Jericho and being like, no Kaiser, no Brittany. Like I feel like she's gonna compete for the Stars, and she's actually a really solid player. So that's a really good last pick. Janine at number 3 is an absolute steal. Like, she is such a good player and such a great value for her draft position. I think that's an absolute win for Roxy. Brendan Hanna.
Absolutely.
I am very excited to see Brendan Hanna with the Stars. I know we don't particularly like him here at Call to Action, but he is a really good player. Like, don't let the stats fool you. He's 3-3, but look at his accuracy. Look at his stats. He can compete with the best of them. So I'm very excited for that.
Absolutely. And 2 of his losses were to the current champion, Chandra Dondapani. So he kind of got stuck against him multiple times, which has contributed to maybe some of those losses, which Chandra has just proven to be a veritable beast inside of the IG division. But again, at 80%, that's still still pretty decent accuracy for a competitor. And again, that chance for increase in accuracy is definitely there. So if she is ready, Roxy is someone that I think she's probably a big fan of, but we have the lovely Miss Danny here in the chat. Girl, how you doing?
Sorry I'm late, everyone. Hello.
All good. We just kind of really got started. We talked about the exchange a little bit. Just basically, the Vince exchange is a big question mark for us.
I definitely agree.
Kind of in contrast, we're looking at the Stars, they have a lot of options. Just looking at the kind of divisions that her competitors can go into, having a good mix of veterans and rookies, having several competitors that are multi-divisional, and a good many options for IG and Star Wars as well. And just kind of looking again at some of the accuracies that some of her competitors do have. For IG, Alex Damon, 79% for his first year. Not bad at all, right behind Hannah, who is at 80%. And we were commenting on that Hannah is 3-3. 2 of those losses were against Chandra, who was quickly rising up to being one of the top accuracy competitors inside of IG. G and the Machine had a 79%, did face a loss at the beginning of the tournament, but the potential is there. If she chooses to really bear down into IG as her specialty, she could really make a ton of improvement there in that 10-20% accuracy increase if she focuses in on that. Or she continued to be a good backup in IG and also really trying to get that push in singles and teams with Roxy behind her to really give her that support that she needs. And I mean, what else can I say? Damon's 4 Star Wars title defenses, 93% accuracy, 6-0 as of season 5 through season 7. He only has 1 loss, and that was back in season 4. But 93%, how much more do we need?
It has been the only one who's defended a title for as long as he has. So,
right, as a single held. We were just talking about JTE was able to. He had 6 defenses with the Patriots, but yeah, a single. No one has defended 4 times in singles IG or Star Wars until him. So, and just something interesting going into kind of her top competitors with Snyder and Draco. Snyder had in season 7, his singles accuracy overall between seasons 5 and 7 is 78%. But as of season 7, he had an 89% accuracy. So a pretty good jump from his average between the 2 years, or between 3 seasons, and that the Odd Couple themselves as a team increased by 10% in accuracy each season they were together. They came together in Anarchy in season 5, and every year I have seen a consistent of approximately 10% accuracy increase. That just has always impressed me about them as a team, just the fact that they not only, they face some tough losses, but they consistently are making improvements to themselves as a team, which just makes them one of my favorites as far as teams that have come out of Anarchy that are still together, that have made the best out of what situation they were put in during that tournament.
Yeah, you look at this core 3, and honestly, I don't see how you can get much better than these 3 people. Like, the Odd Couple has proven that they have exceptional chemistry. They play together so well, and they
Mhm.
just keep getting better, which is incredible because they're currently champions. How much better could they be? And Alex Damon is the most dominant champion in SmackDown history, in my opinion. So Roxy's got a really solid core three.
And that's allowed her, and her being able to pick up Brandon Hanna, who's a strong contender in IG currently. Kind of those top four gave her a good solid base to then build on with some of her rookie picks that she could groom, and some of her other picks that people that she can groom up, but she knows she's got a nice solid foundation that she's building off of. So again, like automatically you've got two singles and teams players. You've got a IG competitor and a Star Wars champion, and then you've got another IG competitor, and you just have 4 picks off the board already. So she was set up very nicely on the inset. So let's see what she can do with her remaining squad and what types of things can really push her to that next level, to where she was able to make a big advancement in the faction standings this past year towards the end. If she can come out a little bit stronger and keep that momentum going, that will allow her to be in a higher spot. She still ended up being 3rd, but with this strong of a core in the onset, people might be underestimating her chances at the championship this next year.
Yeah, I think what also hindered her points was the way that the point system was set up last year with the matches. Alex Damon didn't get a lot of matches last year. So that kind of held her back point-wise. And I think now with the way that the new point system is, I think that's title matches are going to be worth a lot more. There's going to be different types of opportunity, especially now with Star Wars ramping up the way that it is, the Star Wars division. I think it's going to give Roxy a little bit more of an opportunity to pick up some major points in this season and really see what it is. She finished 3rd, but she still finished very well. She had a consistent season. She had a mostly consistent season last year, but with the picks.
Yeah, once we hit the tournaments, that was when things really started to pick up. Those initial pre-tournament games were kind of where she just couldn't get a leg up.
Yeah, Roxy has always been very open about saying that she keeps her cards close to her chest when it comes to the draft picks and stuff. So I think picking Brandon Hanna as her first, in that first round where she was able to pick him up, she's got to have something up her sleeve, because that's such a random pick for the start. I think I am one of the people that does think that Brandon Hanna is going to do well on this faction. I think he's going to work well with Roxy. I know that personality-wise, a lot of people are saying that it just doesn't kind of flow well, but I think Brandon Hanna can do well with Roxy. Also, absolutely, absolutely love. I cannot explain how much I love that Janine is with Roxy. I think Roxy is going to help develop her, strategy wise. I don't know for sure if Janine is, I haven't heard any for sure confirmation that she is going into IG. I think we all just know that she's like a prospect for it. I personally love to see her in IG. I know that she's trained with other IG players before. I know that that's a good majority of she's very well rounded, I think, but I would love to see her kind of focus in on inner geekdom. And then same thing with all of these pickups. Roxy decided not to pick up Chris Jericho, and I think picking up Brittany Young was a smart move for her also, especially because it's the last round pick. So I think that that's going to be a good pick for her. That's a celebrity match. She'll get points from celebrity matches whenever those happen, and Brittany seems to really, really enjoy the game and has fun with it. So I think that that's a good team up right there as well. And I'm excited to see what these rookies do. Yeah,
absolutely.
A lot of these rookies I've never heard of before and all of that stuff. So it'll be interesting to see what they have. But I think with her established players, she's got a good set of established players on her team.
Absolutely.
The best, obviously. So most of them got belts.
I'll say her top 3 are current belt holders. And again, just the idea of her versatility. You were talking about, Janine could just concentrate on singles, or she could concentrate on IG. She's got 9 prospects for singles and teams. She's got 5 prospects for IG and 4 prospects for Star Wars. There's a lot of options and a lot of things that Roxy can do with this squad, which is really neat to see. Nat, did you have any other thoughts on this roster before we move on to Danny's favorite?
No, I think we basically covered everything. I think that Roxy has a really strong foundation. With their first 6 picks, she has only 2 rookies in there. I'm seeing actually one rookie, and the others are veterans. So I think that's a really smart strategy to pick up the veterans first, and then pick the rookies to build around them. I'm excited to see what this team does.
Absolutely. And so then, without further ado, Danny, who we got here?
Swag, drip, drip.
There we go. So again, current champions, the current IG champion being on this squad, he picked up Chandra during free agency, as well as Paul Yama and Lon Harris. We are at this point assuming that they will stay as a team, but that could change. Final Exam was a very strong team last year, and Paul Yama being a former singles champion, strong outlook for there. So he's got, as opposed to some of these other factions, he has 11 veterans, and he only picked up 1 rookie, who this was someone that Bradley was not someone that I knew of at all. Had you guys seen him making any circuits around any of the shows or anything?
Completely newbie for me.
That's what I'll say. I didn't think I wasn't as tuned into the rookies this year, but that was definitely not one that I was expecting to hear. But some strong moves here. He gets Eric Zipper, who was someone that he formerly worked with, a strong contender in IG, as well as someone who's shown some prowess in singles and teams. Picking up Laura Kelly, and then also Ace. So we're going to be talking about kind of the numbers there behind those two, but those are some strong picks there in those second and third rounds, and then rounding out with Mancuso, Haley Fouch, Jen Kemp, Jonathan Harris, bringing back the other Harris brother, and then picking up his free agency pickup from last season in Frank Moran, who had an unfortunate loss to, I believe it was James White in the play-in match of the singles tournament this past season. But kind of looking at what these numbers are as far as his current competitors, Chandra, obviously being the current champion, has an 86% in IG. Zipper, not too far behind him, 71. Oyama, actually, with his loss, still had an 85% accuracy. That was against Chance on his run. Jen Kemp had that one match at 72%. So definitely some room for improvement on some of those on Zipper and Kemp, but Oyama and Chandra obviously are showing really good prowess there. And I do believe that Chandra's accuracy for this season was 90 or above. I do not have that number directly in front of me right now, but I do remember when I looked up because he has been an active player for the past 2 seasons, so his accuracy reflects everything from the past couple seasons. But kind of jumping down here to Star Wars, 2 very strong ones here. We've got Laura Kelly at 92% accuracy in Star Wars. And that sounds crazy, but she has the 3rd highest accuracy.
That's so nice. I love it.
It's crazy because I had to double check and look this up, because you have Damon, who has the highest, and then by 1 percentage point, Demolanta beat out Kelly. And it's probably not even a full percentage. It's a partial of a percentage is what separates those guys. So those top 4 competitors there in Star Wars are right up there in that 94 to 92%, which is ridiculous. And Andres just Ace had a huge splash in the Star Wars tournament this past year. He does have an overall accuracy of 86. That championship match at Spectacular did kind of bring that percentage down because there was because of the performance on that season. But overall, going through that entire tournament, all those matches. He is definitely still a force to be reckoned with a 4-1.
I see what you did there.
I am just full of it today. And then looking down at the singles and teams competitors, Oyama sitting at 78%, Lon Harris 72%. Zipper actually has an 80% accuracy in singles, which is crazy because he's sitting at a 2-2 record. So Zipper is definitely someone who has just certain things have not broke his way in certain matches to have that accuracy with that percentage of win-losses is a little surprising, for sure.
I agree. I think I for one am super glad that Eric is in swag. I really like the way that Winston drafted him, the way that he talked about, bringing the team back together and stuff. I thought that was great. I think Eric is definitely, he went, in that first round to Winston for a reason. I think that he is a player that a lot of people tend to sleep on because he didn't have a very good record at the beginning of the season and stuff like that, and just didn't get a lot of opportunities to play. But I know everyone here on this channel is a big fan of Eric Zipper, so I think that we all know and believe that he can do really well, and I think that he will do well with Winston. And the Laura Kelly stuff, oh my gosh, getting Laura Kelly, that's just going to be fun. That's a smart move, first of all, because she's got a match coming up, so you're already getting points from that. She's a dynamite player in Star Wars. That lady's going to crush this season. I can't wait to see what she does. So I'm excited that she's in swag also. It'll be interesting to see how much the Star Wars division gets ramped up, to see if swag has enough space for Laura and Andres on their team. Two big powerhouses. Andres had a dominating tournament season, and it'll be interesting to see what they have going forward, what they'll do, what Winston will do with his two very, very high-ranking Star Wars players in the next season.
Absolutely. And it's quite possible, depending on how Kelly does in her contender matches, it could be based on how the scheduling works out. She might not be able to be in that maybe first Star Wars tournament. If we end up having two, it might be a situation where he puts Ace in the first tournament, and then later on down the season, if there is a second one, he might be able to then put Kelly in after her kind of initial first couple matches. So time will tell what that does. But yes, having two such dominant Star Wars competitors will make things interesting with how the rankings are and how the league decides to set up these tournaments, whether it's going to be too many tournaments or pure speculation on how that all is going to go on. But yes, those are his two Star Wars competitors that have been declared. He has 4 options of competitors in IG, 9 singles and teams, 3 of these competitors being his multi-divisional Jen Kemp, Paul Oyama, and Eric Zipper being his kind of 3 competitors that can go a couple of different ways in their seasons based on what they want to really focus in on.
I just really like this draft pick. I just want to say something about what people are talking about in the chat about Jonathan Harris and teams and stuff like that. I personally do not hope that Winston breaks up Final Exam. I hope that Eric Zipper and Jonathan Harris team up. That's kind of what I'm thinking of as a team together. I know Jonathan did really well, spoken with Lon before, and Lon has praised his brother and his brother's knowledge and talks about how their knowledge is pretty much on par with each other. They grew up in the same house, watched a lot of the same movies. So I believe that. And I think that if Winston breaks up Final Exam and gets the Harris Bros back together and puts Lon and Jonathan back together, I hope that Paul does end up going with Eric Zipper. I think they'll round each other out a little bit as well. I know people were talking about
that was a team actually back a season or 2 ago. Oyama and Zipper were
what were they called?
Yeah, I am blanking on the name right now. They were
chat, let us know.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look it up if I can't think about it.
Loose cannons.
Loose
Yes.
cannon.
Yes, the
Give
loose
it up
cannon.
for that, Daddy.
Matt with a win there on that. Excellent. Yes. So that would be interesting to put those. I feel like with the potential and the ranking that Final Exam has right now, I don't necessarily feel like it would be smart to break them up just yet. It's a potential you could break them up and reteam later on into the season if things still stand to where after, say, 2 losses, you can break up a team. That's probably the only situation I would see because them as a team are ranked very high. They were in the finals of the tournament. So it doesn't make sense to break up that team unless you have a super high option.
Right.
Or
like if Swag would have drafted Ben Bateman, if they would have been able to pick up Ben Bateman somehow, that's just my dream team. I'm gonna keep spouting that out for as long as I can. Paul Oyama, Ben Bateman on a team would crush, and then that would be the way that you break up Final Exam is get Ben Bateman to team up with Paul Oyama. But unfortunately, that's not happening this season. My dreams are crushed.
Poor Danny. You still have Swag, and I could say our prediction is that Final Exam our hope and prediction is that Final Exam will remain as a team. But again, Winston's got a lot of different options here. He does have pretty much his 2 Star Wars competitors locked in. He's got options for IG, which is great. He's holding the current champion, who has a match coming up here on the 19th, which is awesome. Finally getting to get back into the swing of things, which I will talk more about that later. A little tease on what's going to be happening with this show. But anything else that you guys want to mention about this roster in particular before we... And just to note about Chandra, he is the first one to have a defense since season 5, when Jason Inman defended the IG was the last time it has happened. Wow. And if he defends against Mara, he will be the first one to defend it twice. So some very interesting statistical records on the line here. But anything else on these guys?
Yeah, I think if you look at this roster on paper, it's so easy to say that Winston did a great job because with the exception of one person, we've seen all these people in action. And you would be right because this is an exceptional roster. I think that I've had a lot of conversation with Chandru. That man is locked in. I honestly, no disrespect to Mara, I think she's a hell of a threat. But I don't see Chandru losing the title anytime soon. I talked to Brendan Meyer last week for a little thing we did. You might want to check that video out. But we had a conversation. We talked about Paul Oyama and how his rookie season when he was a champion, he improved so much the following last season. That's telling me that he got so much better. Have you seen the guy's Letterboxd? That guy watches a lot of movies. So he's going to keep watching movies, and he's going to keep getting better. I really hope that Final Exam stays as a team because I think they work really well together. I hate throwing this word around. I hate saying someone's underrated. But Eric Zipper is the epitome of underrated. He is a multi-division threat. He's good in everything he does. And his luck is bound to change at some point. So this could be the season. And I think it's interesting that Winston took Laura Kelly and Ace back-to-back. Because looking through Ace's Twitter, it's interesting because he was saying like how he was watching all these people that he's beaten that drafted before him. And I think that's a really good point because people are undervaluing Ace. Ace is one of the best in the game, and he should have been taken a lot earlier. But good on Winston for getting the 1-2 punch with Laura Kelly and Ace. It's a really good roster.
I think that with this one and the next one that we're going to talk about right after that these two factions, Swag and Corruption, have such a different draft when we're talking about rookies compared to everyone else's. So I think looking at these factions and, depending on what they do inside of the season, it'll be really interesting to see what strategies worked out for people. Like Finch Stock Exchange drafting as many rookies as they did. I didn't get a chance to talk about it, but that's what I would have said. This is a risk that we won't be able to tell if what we'll get from it until later on in the season. Same thing with these factions. These factions that only drafted one rookie out of it's the season of the rookies right now, and these two factions just chose one out of everyone that's in there. Is that going to be a good idea, or was that a bad idea? We won't know. But I do really appreciate this team. I'm super glad that, I wouldn't have left Winston either way, but I'm happy with the faction that he's created. So I'm glad that I get to root and drip for all these people over here.
Excellent. So a lot of, again, as opposed to all the rookies, this one's got a lot of established competitors that we are interested to see how they each will have improved from what they've already shown us in previous seasons. So really exciting there. Last, but certainly not least, are last season's faction champions, Corruption. Again, only picking up one rookie in Jacob London, which I was actually surprised that London was picked this late in the draft.
Yep, I agree.
I was expecting him to go sooner, just based on what little I was able to see of him and some of the conversations that were going on. I was impressed with what I was able to see of him during this offseason. But current champion, Adam Collins, singles champion of the world, former champions, Kalinowski, two-time IG champ, and Ellison and Kalinowski being two-time teams champions. And 8 of this roster are returning Corruption team members. So this team definitely is the one with the most returning competitors. Collins being the first rookie to go 6-0. If he continues the streak, he will beat out Oyama's record, going 6-1 in his season. If he goes 7-0, he will beat out Oyama in that, though not inside of his one rookie season. Something interesting to note there. She picks up Joseph Scrimshaw and Sean Sullivan as her 2 Star Wars competitors. Scrimshaw, again, in that top tier of Star Wars competitors at 90% accuracy. Scrimshaw was one of my underrated Star Wars competitors from a number standpoint. He doesn't get talked about a ton, but 90% accuracy. And in his last match against Demolanta, he lost by a word in sudden death. That's the only thing. They were both 100% the entire match, which was arguably one of the best blow-for-blow matches that we have seen in Schmoedown history. But my stats brain loves those types of matches. But Sean Sullivan is no slouch either. 1-1, 82% accuracy. Looking at the potential for improvement, that 10% and above opportunity for improvement inside of a season.
I'm sorry, I was laughing at a comment that Robert Parker said in the chat.
I was saying, I'm just happy to see. She certainly isn't. Fair point, Robert. Fair point. Check out last week. We were singing the Dungeons praises, so this is Corruption's turn. So chill out, buddy. So looking at some of the things that we've seen from her 2 main IG competitors, with Kalinowski and Chance Ellison. Chance Ellison between singles and IG. So he's 4-2 with 85% accuracy in IG, and then in singles he's 85 accuracy, 3-4 record. In both IG and singles, he has only had 2 matches below 80% accuracy. Are you serious?
That's nuts.
What is this guy on? The consistency of those mid to high tier accuracies is very impressive. We've got Lady Justice, Marisol McKee with all the world of potential available there. So she actually has a match coming up here very soon against Vinny, which will be very exciting to see. As far as anything else, Mike Kalinowski inside of IG has maintained an 80% or above accuracy in the past 3 seasons, which is good. As far as what we're seeing, accuracies inside of seasons for IG competitors, we are seeing more of an expectation of them being in the high 80s, even low 90s, even right now for an in-season accuracy rate. So it'll be interesting to see what these two, as Shannon's main IG competitors right now. Right now, for her two multi-division players, those two guys are it. Kalinowski and Chance Ellison are two IG competitors currently. That could change if someone decides to take a dip into IG, but these two are the ones that she's got. Scrimshaw and Sean Sullivan being her two Star Wars competitors, and then she's got 10 other competitors that are options for her singles and teams, including Chance and Kalinowski, who are her multi-division competitors. Super exciting. It's exciting to see so many of her former competitors coming back. Considering that this was the faction that won the title, it kind of makes sense. You want to put as much of the band back together. Really only minus Laura Kelly of her top competitors from last season. So considering she currently does not have Laura Kelly, what do we think of inside of Star Wars seeing her getting both Scrimshaw and Sean Sullivan?
Can I just say real quick that a while ago we did a mock draft, and none of us did well, considering this is like rookie season or whatever. But
yes.
But considering all that, did I nail it or did I nail it? I got Mark Edward.
You did pretty good. Yes.
Edward Coit, Joseph Scrimshaw, Elliot Dewberry. I would have gotten Wiggins if Frank didn't trade me Scrimshaw. But I think I did pretty well. And I will say that I respect the whole Shannon picking people who have been on our team before, because she knows how to work with them. She knows how much they contribute. So I think she did a really good job. I think Joseph Scrimshaw is just such an undervalued Star Wars competitor and is definitely one to look out for. And I think you should definitely do not sleep on Sean Sullivan. This could be a season. He's so good. He's just gonna keep getting better. Do not sleep on Sean Sullivan. I think she has a solid number 6 and number 7. That's for Star Wars. That's insane.
So again, this is a faction that only drafted one rookie, and the rookie that they drafted, I agree with what Meg said earlier. I think Jacob went a lot later than I expected him to go to, just because he's done a lot in the fan leagues before, been a champion in the fan leagues, and if anyone has seen any of those older fan league tapes, like those questions are intense and rough. And so like we all know Jacob, it can do well. It'll be exciting to see how he works with the rest of the team. The only difference between the way that Shannon drafted in taking season players one rookie and the way that Winston drafted taking season players one rookie is that Shannon, to me, it seems like she's trying to build up this dynasty. And I'm going to keep using that word until someone tells me to stop. But like, I really believe that she's trying to keep her faction in the same people, especially picking up Dewberry at the last minute. She wasn't going to use her last pick. And then just decided to pick him up, picking up Dolph, Clee Wiggins, Mark Hyuk. Oh, I always say his name wrong, his last name wrong. I'm so thank you. And then all of the first 4 that she got. So the only thing that the only question is, was the Madi Soul trade worth it? Because she didn't start picking until the 3rd round of the draft. So there was already a lot of people that were going, and she was trying to bring back her, the core players that she wanted from her faction. And I'm not saying anything less from anyone that was on the faction before. They just didn't get a lot of opportunities to play last year. So so was that part of her strategy, or was that the kind of the deal that she ended up getting when she traded for Madi Soul? Picking up I don't know why, whenever the Joseph pick happened, the Scrimshaw pick happened, in my head, all I was thinking was like, is he going to be available? Like, that was the first thing that went through my head, and for no reason at all. Like, I haven't seen anything anywhere where Joseph Scrimshaw has said that he doesn't have a busy, or like he's got a busy schedule and can't play. In the same way that we've heard Roxy say that about Stacey Howard, where Stacey Howard's got a busy schedule and she's not going to be that available and stuff like that. So I don't know why that was the first thing that came to my mind, but as soon as she picked up Sean, I was like, yes. I'm such a big fan of Sully, and I hope that he does well with Corruption. I think he's going to do well either way this season, and I really, really, really hope that he sticks in there. I'm super worried that Shannon is trying to figure out a way to trade for Laura Kelly and figure out how to get Laura Kelly. And I don't want to see Sean leave Corruption. I want to see Sean stay on Corruption. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen. I would love to see Laura stay with Swag. But I do know that, Shannon likes her team and she wants her team. And again, like building a dynasty and stuff like that. I think Laura Kelly was started with Corruption, and it would be interesting to see if Shannon tries to get her back into Corruption. But I hope that Sean stays.
I feel like she would definitely try. She would have probably better luck trading, just looking at face value, Scrimshaw and one of her other singles and teams options for Kelly, potentially. That would force, because nobody has an open slot right now, so that would force another faction to drop another competitor. But also, too, we're seeing factions being like, we don't want Shannon to have her full squad back. Considering what she was able to do last season, that doesn't necessarily put them in a good advantage to get rid of her, but we shall see how that all pans out. But again, she's got, so many of her returning competitors there. She knows what these guys are capable of. Really interested to see Mark Edward Hoyk, Scrimshaw playing more. Really interested to see what Clee Wiggins does. She was only able to play in one match, and to my understanding, that was a pretty last-minute match. So really interesting to see how she does with maybe a little bit more prep time to see if she can improve on the numbers that she was able to show us. Then Claudia Dolph showed a lot of really good promise. James White, first-round rookie draft from last season that we all thought was crazy. How a year changes things. So really, he's one that I had my eye on. 73% accuracy last season, 1-1 currently. Just a lot of very interesting to see if she can make lightning strike twice again with an almost identical faction to what she had last year.
Yeah, and with that just kind of popped into my head. That's going to be a different sort of thing. So the only player that she has coming into her faction that could help with like any outsider info, like anyone that gets like Laura Kelly. She's going to know the way that she studied with Corruption, how she studied with Corruption. Who knows if she's going to go and take that and utilize it in Swag. No one else in the Corruption faction can do that. No one else has come in from the usual suspects and been like, well, this is what we would do over there, and it really helped me out with this. She's not going to be able to have that sort of advantage with her faction, where other people who sometimes you got to mix it up. You got to get put some spice in there. And I think like John Roca talking about being amped up again with the rookies coming in, because it's a different type of motivation. So I think having someone new and bringing some new flavor into your bowl, I think can add a little bit more to it. So it's going to be interesting to see how Corruption does this season.
Absolutely, yeah. And seeing, we've got Scrimshaw, Sullivan, Jacob London, James White are kind of her four that are new to the faction, with Jacob being the only true rookie.
And Sean also. Sorry, because Sean played a little bit with he played one match or two matches with the Den. He's
had two matches. Yep. So he had that kind of initial match with Adam Witt, and then he had the match against Kelly in the tournament. So again, very, very interested to see what she's got. Again, a nice strong base. We'll see how she's able to build out from that with some of her competitors that didn't get a lot of chances last year, and ones that she's bringing into the fold for the first time this season. So with that concludes kind of our real nitty-gritty breakdown of the factions, and something that I didn't get a chance to show you, Danny, but this is a recap of all the factions with all their breakdowns of the singles and teams, their IG and Star Wars competitors. I will post this on socials, guys. Don't worry, you'll get a chance to look at it. But again, we were talking earlier when we were going through the FinStack exchange. FinStack got a lot of guff for having so many rookies on his faction, but if you look at the veteran and rookie breakdowns, Usual suspects in FinStock Exchange are the same. 4 veterans, 8 rookies. The exact same breakdown, with Swag and Corruption having the highest ratio of veterans with 11 as opposed to only 1 rookie. Stars are the only ones that are split 50-50, 6 veterans to 6 rookies. You've got Corky Mercs and Den being 8 and 4. 9 and 3 with the Dungeon is kind of splitting between those other 2 tiers of high veteran ratios. And a lot of different factions having multiple options in Star Wars and IG currently, which is great to see, and some of them kind of keeping it a little closer to the vest. Maybe there's some singles and teams competitors that are going to jump into IG or Star Wars that we just don't know about yet, which is awesome and exciting to see how these factions are going to shape out as the season progresses and as we start seeing where these competitors are going to fit into the grand scheme of the factions themselves. Any comments or interesting things popping out to you guys from this kind of basic breakdown?
I really love that we got such a variety of team structures. Like you have teams like the Suspects in the Exchange who have way more rookies than veterans. You have teams that have a perfect mixture of both, like the Stars. You have teams with more veterans than rookies, like Swag and Corruption. So I don't know which is the winning strategy. Like if you had to pick a winner here, I couldn't tell you honestly, because they're all so different. They all have their own pros and cons. So I think it might come down to the Stars having 5 multi-division players. I think that's huge.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now, I think the multi-divisional players are going to be something that a lot of people are going to be looking at. There's 12 people on a roster for each faction, where last year it was 10. So we are getting more matches, so it is going to be more opportunities. There are more people to spread that around to also. So I think overall having a faction with a good amount of multi-divisional people will still be helpful, regardless if they play or not, because they're able to help anyone else on their team who is in that division, especially if they're specifically in that division. So I agree with Nat on that. I think, I don't know. I don't want to pick favorites, but
I usually don't. So I have ones that I'm super excited about, but I try to stay neutral, much to Jake and Paul's chagrins. They don't like it when I play neutral.
I love the word chagrin. I don't know why the chagrin.
All right, guys. But anyways, that is kind of just, so we've now gone through all 8 factions, kind of breaking down where they're at. Again, as the season progresses, things could change. We could see some competitors kind of switch up divisions, try something different, and this could look totally different by the time we get to the end of the season. But this is what we know now. This is what we have to look forward to, and so excited to see where things are going to start going once we actually start getting into matches, which kind of brings us to the idea of what's coming up next for this show. We got through our draft special. What's going to be coming up next for this? We are going to take at least 1 week off. So next week we won't have this show, sadly. But the plan is, if you guys watch the match breakdowns that I did all this last season with Alex Mack, we did Match My Stats at the beginning, where I kind of just did a breakdown of all of what kind of statistics we saw inside the match, what the point breakdown was. So essentially, every week during this next season, if you're not going to have time to watch all the matches in a week, but you want to get caught up in time for the next round of matches, because there's going to be a lot of matches every week rolling out. It's going to be a busy season for us. Check out this channel and check out this show for every week for a quick snapshot and recap of what had been going on in the season in the previous week. So we'll just be doing a quick, think of it as Monday morning talk radio for sports, where you're just going to get a quick breakdown of what happens, maybe some interesting stats that happened during that week to just kind of get you caught up before you jump into another batch of matches next week. So super excited for what's going to be happening coming up there. Thank you, Nat and Danny, for coming in and joining me in on this. We are going to wrap things up for today. Again, another kind of shorty here, just an hour, but please make sure you guys are clicking like, subscribe to this channel, and get notifications so you can be alerted of what all is going on. If you really like seeing us and you want to see more, check out our Patreon. And as always, we accept Streamlabs and Super Chats during our shows. And Nat, what kind of things can we expect from you in the coming weeks?
Oh boy. Well, you can always find me on Twitch on Tuesdays for Twitch Tuesdays. We don't get a huge audience, so I better see you there because we talk about all kinds of stuff. It's not just me and Dylan. I know it's like I don't want to watch Nat and Dylan. There might be other people coming up. You don't know. Like we talk about anything. You can literally just hop in the chat and ask us to talk about anything. We will talk about anything. We're unqualified to talk about anything. I don't want to talk about cheese anymore. I've had enough. Please come and ask us questions. I'm so tired of talking about cheese.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. It's almost a C2A inside joke, but I think a lot of people, if anyone's familiar with the channel, you understand how much we fucking talk about cheese here. And Sean Sullivan's in the chat, and Sully, we are all super pumped for you.
Yes.
Watch this on the replay, man, because we're super pumped that you're in corruption and all of that good stuff. So
yes,
can't wait
but
to
I have one more thing. I have a new show with Dylan. It's called No Chill with Nat and Dylan, and I don't want to ruin it for you, but if you haven't seen it by now, I might as well. It's basically between two ferns with smart out personalities. So we just had Brendan Meyer on, and that was a tough thing to film because imagine being mean to that guy. I mean, he's just so nice. But we did it. We were total dicks to him. It's hilarious. Please check it out. If you can watch a 7-hour call live episode, you can spare 14 minutes. 14 minutes of your life. The best 14 minutes you'll ever spend. Watch it. It's on YouTube.
Yeah, so we're rocking the shorter content this season, so we're super excited about some of that. But Miss Danny, what do you got going on here, girl?
You know me, it's your girl Danny Joy. You can find me on Twitter at Danny Joy, DANIEEJOY. You can also find me here every Sunday. Things are happening. We promise we'll announce a lot of stuff. But tonight, right after this, let me pull this up really quickly. So sorry, Megs. Right after this at 7:45, we at 7:45 Central Time, we will be hanging out with Sam Levine. So we're gonna talk to Sam about his draft and all of that good stuff. We're super pumped to have Sam back, or to have Sam on Chill. Last time he was on Chill, he was with Rachel Cushing. Sam's coming back by himself. We're super pumped to talk about the draft, all of that good stuff. Subscribe to my personal YouTube channel because I'm talking about Star Wars books there sometime this month.
Excellent. Well, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Megs_reclaimed. All of our social links are down in the description, so go ahead and check those out if you'd like to see more of us and what we do outside of being on screen for this channel. But I am really looking forward to doing more stats as we get into the season. It is going to be crazy busy for us, but I am super excited about it. And be sure to check out once the season does start. Come back to this channel and this show every week to get your quick short recap of all the matches from the following week. Super excited. Everybody, again, please hit like, hit subscribe, and if you can, put down a comment. Let us know what you thought of this type of special. Hopefully we can get to do more of these in the future. And tell us if you're excited about just getting a quick down and dirty recap of the matches once we get into the crazy Season 8 war. Thank you guys so much again. Thanks to everybody who's here in the chat live with us. Always great to have you guys hanging out with us. And we shall see you all later. Out.